listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to Reality Wrap. I have Mr. Sean here with me this evening.
Hey everyone, how we doing?
Tonight we will be recapping last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 13, Episode 4. Just a programming note for next week, we will not be recording. I guess Bravo is actually going to show all new episodes next week, which is kookadoos to me.
Kookadoos.
Because I'm like, people are going to be like hanging out with their family and their friends and stuff like that. I can't imagine they're going to sit down and watch, but whatever. So we will not be recapping anything next week. We will watch the episodes. We're just not going to recap them, and we will be back the following week. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this episode. So I will say, I think Erica's starting to grow on me again. I really like the way she's kind of opening up.
Yeah.
We're seeing like a different side of her. Now, whether or not it's real, I feel like it's real. Maybe some of it's real, but she's grown on me. So either she has me bamboozled or I'm starting to like her.
This is kind of my litmus test. If you're interesting to watch and I don't feel bad about myself for liking you, we're good.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's some people that I don't like to admit that I love watching.
You like,
I will never admit it. I'm taking it to my grave because
Yeah.
it's a secret. Because I don't want anyone to know. You know? I love them.
Well, you'll have to tell me when we're not on because...
Talking about you, Vicky.
Oh, Vicky. A lot of people like Vicky,
I
actually.
love Vicky. She's my girl.
She's nuts.
Yep. That's why I love her. I feel like a degraded person.
For liking Vicky?
A little bit.
So, I will say this episode again was kind of a slow burn. We're 4 episodes in and I'm like, all right, like, let's get it going, right? Not to mention also, clearly most of the season is going to be covering the problems with Mo and Kyle, right? But if she was talking about it while they were filming, why was everybody's reaction when we saw in the very, very, very first episode, all of them like reacting like they couldn't believe that her and Mo were separated? If here she is talking about it all season. Although it seems like she's only talking to Dorit about it.
Yeah, or they inserting scenes and we're just not, catching it. Remember, they went back and inserted scenes. Now, we don't know how many and where, but...
Well, I would assume the filming of Vegas was, like, during the regular season.
Anyways, that hotel room was tight. I will say that.
Yeah, well, it was a whole floor, I'm sure. 15,000 square feet.
Goodness.
With the pool on top.
Yeah.
Rooftop pool?
That did not suck.
No. I think that World Resort is a Hilton property. In fact, I think it said it was a Hilton property. So I wonder if, like, Kathy hooked them up at all or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so this episode starts out on the heels of Garcelle telling the women that she doesn't fully trust talking about her family around them. They're all getting ready for the day. Dorit is on the phone with PK, and he asks her how Magic Mike was, and she tells him how Sutton freaked out and got upset about seeing Erica and Crystal on stage. Dorit asks PK how his dinner with Mauricio went. Apparently, Mo told PK that him and Kyle have been having a hard year, and we see a clip of their dinner where Mo is telling PK that he doesn't like to fight, so his wife is always right. And PK's like, well, she can't always be right. He's like, well, I just don't have the energy to fight, or something like that, so she's always right. I was like, that's interesting. So he's kind of just checked out. Like, okay, dear, whatever you want, dear.
Yeah, he's definitely at the whatever you want phase. I just want to get through this.
Yeah, I just want to get through this conversation so I can go off and
go
do
play
whatever.
Golf, go do something, whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what it is he's budgeted time. Okay, my Kyle time, whatever you want, whatever you need, we're going to do it. Keep you happy. Keep you from yelling at me,
Yeah.
And because that's kind of what he said. He's like, I'll just do whatever because I don't want to argue as opposed to argue. I don't want to argue the point. I don't want to fight,
yeah.
So I'll just let her be right, yeah.
It's kind of sad, though, because, like, we've seen them for, 13 years?
She's not that bad.
But they used to be really in love, it seemed like. But
yeah, and she's not, maybe she is off camera, but I haven't seen, like, this evidence where she's some horrible shrew. We get enough of that from a fair number of housewives where you're like, dang, how are those two still married?
Yeah.
But she genuinely seems pretty chill around him, and him around her. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it really isn't that big a deal. And maybe he's just more like Bamboo. He'll just bend a lot, but he won't break on certain things. Because remember when he was calling her Love Bean or whatever that first time, he was like, look, I'm going to have to put my foot down. I don't want to get any more tattoos.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So he did put his foot down in that episode, but it didn't work. She was like, you can go piss up a rope.
Yeah,
Pardon
exactly.
my French, yeah.
We then see Kyle on the phone with Mo, and one thing I did notice when I was watching this is they were doing FaceTime, and Mo didn't have his camera on. She had her camera on, and he even commented how she looked good, but when you saw the camera, it just said his name. Like, he was not on the screen. And I was like, oh, I wonder why he doesn't have his camera
Well,
on.
his dance partner probably hadn't gotten out of bed yet. You know?
Yeah,
She's
right.
probably,
Were they
her
laying
makeup
in bed
wasn't
together?
on, you know. She was like, don't put me on camera, Mo.
Well, no, I don't think he was on at this point. When they were filming, he didn't get on with Dancing with the Stars until, I think, after it wrapped filming. So, but yeah, I was like, that's interesting. Why does she have her camera on and he doesn't? I mean, who knows? Maybe he was in the bathroom. Maybe he was taking a doo-doo and he didn't want her to see.
I don't do FaceTime, so I think it's weird. Like a phone, I put a picture of something, usually Fabio, so people get a logical representation of what I look like. But then I'm out, right? It's just, so I'm kind of with Mo if that's what he does all the time.
Yeah.
But if he normally FaceTimes...
I feel like he would FaceTime normally.
And then he doesn't when he's on a trip away to his wife, who's in the room with you?
Yeah, I feel like he probably...
Or what's going on in the room that you don't want the camera
to see.
To
You don't want Kyle to see. So everybody heads out for the day. Sutton is with Garcelle. I thought it was weird. Everybody was in pairs. A loner in pairs. Runs over your neighbor's dog.
I was going the slinky route on that one.
I was going with the it's log, it's better than bad, it's good.
So basically the same.
All right, anyways. So everybody heads out for the day. Sutton is with Garcelle. Crystal and Erica go to lunch. I just ate that restaurant back in June when I went out to Vegas, and then we drove to Bryce Canyon and Zion. When we got back, we went to Resorts World, and we sat and ate at that restaurant. I was like, hey, I know that restaurant. I ate there. I mean, we've been to a lot of these places.
Yeah, I was watching when they were on the gondola ride earlier, and the guy was singing.
Oh, I know. We've eaten at that cantina that's right there, and like how many of those gondolas come through there and the person's singing while you're trying to eat, and you're just like, oh my God, shut up.
You do want it to stop.
Yeah.
But whatever. To your point, the guy was probably like, cameras. There's no way he wasn't going to sing. Yeah.
So Crystal and Erica are talking about Sutton the night before at the Magic Mike. Erica says that she's now in a place in her life where she wants peace, so nothing's going to bother her. Crystal asks Erica if she could ever go back to how her life used to be, and Erica's like, no, my life is forever changed, but I can start to have fun and get a little bit of normalcy back, which I thought that whole scene was pretty interesting. Like, she's kind of opening up now. She talked a lot about Tom and how bad her marriage was. I mean, we kind of saw that when we did see Tom in previous seasons where he would tell her to be quiet when
no offense, it wasn't a marriage based on love. It was an arrangement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they weren't friends, if we think about like what a marriage is supposed to be, people become friends, then they fall in love, there's a foundation, there's a relationship, they understand there's work, like they didn't have any.
I think they did, because we did see like their one-on-one scenes were a lot better than when he came to like a group dinner and she tried to like join in the conversation and he would shut her down. But when they were one-on-one, I felt like they did have like at least a friendship for sure. Whether or not there was like a sexual thing there, still probably not. He was old, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's suspect. Generally, when you see a relationship like that, unfortunately, my prejudice kicks in.
Yeah.
And they did seem to have a lot of problems.
Maybe when they were like first together, they were married for like 20 years. So maybe when they first got married, they had more of like the real marriage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then he got older. They kind of grew apart. He did have that mistress who was a judge. So obviously somewhere along the lines, their marriage wasn't going so well.
Yeah. I mean, she was clearly fulfilling something, the judge, like maybe intellectual stimulation or something like that.
Probably. I would think, because, yeah, he was a lawyer. Sutton and Garcelle head over to the Venetian for a gondola ride. Sutton asks Garcelle how she's doing. Garcelle says, well, I really feel like I needed to get that off of my chest, but I feel like it wasn't received the way I thought it would be received. And then suddenly the gondola guy starts singing.
It's audition time.
I know. Yeah. I was like, all right, dude. Like, clearly they're filming a conversation and you're going to bust out singing. Like, do you think you're going to get a spot on the show with that singing?
It was amazing.
So they really can't finish their conversation. Dorit and Kyle go to lunch, and Dorit asks Kyle if she thinks maybe she quit drinking so she could feel more in control after the fallout with Kathy. Kyle says maybe, but I also want to be really clear right now. Apparently, she's had a lot of people make comments about her not drinking. Kyle tells Dorit that she's always felt like she needed to have drinks when she went out with other people in order to have fun. She would even go as far as faking like she was having a drink, but this is who she really is. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Dorit brings up again how this year has been difficult in her marriage and how Mo had told PK that he and Kyle were also having a difficult year. Kyle says she expected more for him while she was going through what she's going through, but Mo likes to go out and drink because of his work, and Kyle says she'd rather be at home reading now that she doesn't drink. Dorit asks her, now that you're not drinking, are you afraid that will affect your marriage? And then suddenly, Kyle starts to cry and tells us that she's not happy with her relationship. And now that she's working on herself, Mo is very focused on his work and that they're growing in different directions. And Kyle would rather be in the mountains, which is interesting because when she came back from BravoCon, she was posting on her Instagram from their Aspen house and she was showing how it had just snowed in Colorado. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
So I noted that that she's acknowledging actually both sides of the problem. The way I saw it, and good on Kyle, she's like, I'm focusing on me. He's focusing on his career. Okay, well, what's another way of saying that? He's focusing on him. So why is it wrong for Mo to focus on things he wants to focus on? And so the problem is, and she said it right there, neither one of them are taking any time to focus on each other.
Right.
Right? To focus on them as friends, as a couple, or anything like that. They are isolated in career and finding herself.
Yeah.
Right? But they're both, it's like they're in the same room, but
they're growing
separate
different
corners.
directions, which is what she said.
Exactly.
But what's interesting too is when she was on the phone with him, she asked if he took Portia to school, and he said he didn't have the time, that he had somebody else do it. So maybe he is kind of disconnected from the family, which seems kind of unlike him. Like,
no, he said he had an important, I'm sorry, I'm with Mo on that one. Yeah, he had an important meeting. If they don't have a bus,
no, she's not going to ride the bus. My God.
Why?
Okay. That girl is not riding the bus.
Okay, but you're not a bad parent if your kid rides the bus.
No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying some Beverly Hills she girl is not riding the big yellow school bus.
But you're not a bad parent if someone else drives your kid into school.
No.
Because initially I thought the kid missed school, and I was like, oh, crap.
No, he said he had somebody else.
He had someone else drive it in. That happens. You know, I mean, that's...
I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Sutton and Garcelle are back in the room getting ready. Garcelle talks about having lunch with Oliver and how I guess he got busted kissing Raquel from Vanderpump Rules. I don't watch Vanderpump Rules anymore. I don't live under a rock. I knew what happened this last season with Raquel and Tom. But I didn't pay much attention about Oliver being on Vanderpump Rules or kissing Raquel. So
is Oliver on Vanderpump Rules?
I think he made a cameo. Honestly, I don't really know. I don't watch it anymore. So I know he was working at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurant. And I think Lisa Vanderpump and Garcelle actually film a scene this season. I don't know if it's for Beverly Hills or if it was for Vanderpump, because I don't watch. So anyways, the women are all going to a country bar. Kyle is wearing a cowboy hat with real diamonds. And I was like, bitch, it must be nice to be rich. I was like, that's pretty cool. All the women look very cute in their Western wear. So they head to dinner first. Everybody is ordering drinks, and Kyle orders a mocktail. Garcelle makes a comment like, oh, you're still doing that? And Erica says, yeah, I asked her the same thing. So it sounds like these women are being super supportive of her. Not drinking, and I'm being super sarcastic.
Well, and I think that's the thing. It goes both ways. I think people that don't drink, because I stopped drinking for the most part. I drink now and again.
Yeah, I'm an occasional drinker.
Right, I'm an occasional drinker now. I used to drink every weekend, but I got sick of the Sunday mornings. Mm-hmm. And wasting my Sundays until about midday when I was like, all right, let's go. You know,
yeah, being hungover sucks.
Yeah, and then you can focus on your day, and I just got sick of it. And so it's not right for me, though, to condemn my friends who still drink, and I don't.
No.
And I wouldn't tolerate them condemning me for not drinking, and they don't.
Right.
And I think that's kind of it. Just have fun anyways. Don't let the personality come from the can of beer.
But it seems like she still does have fun.
Yeah.
So they play yet another card game at the table. Crystal reads a question, and it is monogamy natural for humans? And they all say no. And Erica starts talking about how a lioness will seek out a younger, stronger male. And then in Dorit's talking head, she makes the funniest comment. She says, Erica, what are you talking about? You picked the oldest one in the pack. I was like, oh my God, Dorit, you are killing it in these talking heads.
Yeah, Dorito's really good this year in the talking heads. For sure. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know how she was saying that with a straight face. I was just like...
Well, there's reality and then there's perception, right? And I'm sure Erica Jane's perception of herself is probably a little skew from what reality is.
Yeah. Garcelle then asks a question. If you find out there was infidelity one time in your marriage, is that enough for you to leave? And Kyle just says, I don't know. And then in her talking head, she tells us that she's dealt a lot with the cheating rumors over the years. And do I look like the kind of person who would be fine with it? And I'm like, I don't know, Kyle.
Kyle, I've watched you for a long time. And I'm on the fence too.
I think she
I certainly wouldn't
chose to ignore it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be taking certainly the stance that you did on camera last night. We were like, heck no, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
yeah, there were so many things that came out about him cheating on her. It's kind of like, well, when there's smoke, there's usually fire. So Garcelle tells us that she found out that her husband was cheating on her for 5 years. So she sent an email out to everybody and told them what happened. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Garcelle doesn't play.
No, for 5 years though, that's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that's shitty.
Dorit says she would pull a Lorena Bobbitt and then would make him pay. I'm like, I think I'm probably similar to Dorit.
In reality, though, much like Lorena, if you pulled a Lorena Bobbitt, then you would go to jail.
Yes.
Lorena went to jail.
She did. I'm trying to think, like, we've been married a long time. If I found out, like, you cheated on me just one time, I think I would really try to get over it. But the way I am, like... Yeah. I don't think I could, like, you know, when we were having sex, I would think about how you were in somebody else.
I read the manual while we were dating. You were pretty
yeah, I feel like I probably would go pretty spell. And, like, I would try to forgive you if I was decided, like, I'm going to try to forgive you. But ultimately, I don't think I could. I would keep throwing it back at you.
Yeah, I'm out, by the way. I mean, if I cheated, I've always been clear on you. If I ever did cheat on you.
Yeah, you're done.
It would be over.
Yeah.
You know, that's, and hopefully I'd have the presence of mind to...
Wait.
End us and then act.
Yeah. So Erica starts talking about how she went from having a lot to now she's had to downsize and how looking at the bills stress her out and that it's scary to be on your own without a safety net. And when you're talking about your freedom, that is a totally different situation now that she's free from Tom. So I will say I kind of I'm really liking the way she's opening up. She's growing on me.
Yeah.
She's shared a lot on this Vegas trip.
Been off and on with Erica the whole time. Like you've loved her, not loved her. You've never really hated her. You've been mad at her.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, she is unique and driven, and she is the same person effectively now as she was in the very, very first episode. She really hasn't changed. She's this over-the-top person who has a very tough exterior, but that's just a mask, you know. I mean, she's genuinely a good person, but, you know, if you piss her off, she can really be mean. Sometimes God intervenes, and she can be mean then, too.
The problem I had with her was when all this stuff came out about Tom, she didn't show any empathy towards the victims and then claimed she was a victim herself. Now, whether or not she knew this was going on, I'm guessing she was kind of one of those, the less I know is better, right? I'm not going to question where some of this money is coming from or whatever. But the fact that she never came out and was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. She says it was for like legal reasons because then it'd be admitting like she had done something wrong or something along those lines. But I feel like how she handled that, and that's why I kind of didn't like her. But now I feel like I'm starting to like her again. So they head to the country western bar and they all comment on how different the atmosphere is there. They decide to go ride the bull. Kyle goes first. She makes it 25 seconds but doesn't fall off. Sutton goes next and she keeps telling the guy to be nice to her, and she makes it for 14 seconds before she asks them to stop. And Erica in her talking head says, if Sutton's bull riding skills are like her dick riding skills, it's no wonder that she's not getting a second date. I was like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was the line of the year of all Housewives. And it's true. Like, I was watching her, and there are JCPenney mannequins that move better.
JCPenney, what a random thing
Sutton.
to say.
You know how they're still?
Yeah, well, all mannequins are still. It doesn't matter what store they're in. Anyway, so then they toast to Crystal one last time for her birthday. It's now the next morning, and they're getting ready to leave, and they're at the elevator, and the elevator opens, and Erica's friends from Magic Mike are in the elevator. And she tells Sutton, this is your chance now to apologize to my friend who you said was over the top and that the show was shitty. And Sutton's like, I didn't say the show was shitty. I just said I didn't like seeing the spread eagle situation. Erica's friends seem like they're like, oh, it's okay. We understand you'll have to come out and see the show again. They were very nice about it. Yeah, gracious about it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
It was, the timing on that was, if that wasn't staged, which I suspect it was.
Well, and then it was intervention from God,
yeah,
according to Erica.
According to Erica, and if that truly was an intervention from God, that is incredible, right?
She's like, the elevator doors opened, and it was an intervention from God. I was like, oh my gosh.
Because she gave up Lent at that moment.
Yeah.
Right. She was fighting. I understand why she was upset.
Well, all of them left. So they had a whole row in the front that got up and left in the middle of the show. So, of course, other people are going to be like, why did those people all leave?
Yeah, exactly.
So, once the elevator closes, Sutton says, you put words in my mouth. And Erica's like, well, you didn't like it. Dorit asks Sutton if she's okay. And Sutton's like, yeah, but that was really shitty. On the bus, Sutton tells Erica that was mean of her to embarrass her. Erica tells Sutton, well, you made it a big deal. You went out into the lobby and you were ranting and you were getting heated. And Dorit says, if you could do it over again, would you have gone back in there so all of us could have been together? And Sutton says, no. Why couldn't I have just sat in the lobby? And then Kyle jumps in and she's like, we weren't going to just leave you there. You seemed so unhinged. And Sutton says, I'm not going to talk about this with you guys ad nauseum. Erica says, why? Because you feel cornered? And Sutton says, I'm used to being cornered by all of you. And then she apologizes for ruining it for everybody. Dorit tries to comfort her. Garcelle tells Dorit, and it was kind of weird the way Dorit and Garcelle were talking about Sutton, like right in front of her. She was like, I wish you would have gone after her because I feel like I always have to. And then they kind of start going back and forth about how they would have handled it and how they would have...
Like they're well experienced babysitting Sutton.
Yeah, that's why I was... And they're talking like Sutton's not sitting right there.
It's a little weird.
It was super weird. Sutton tells them that she's done with the conversation, and Dorit's like, are you good? And Sutton tells her she is trying to end the conversation, and sometimes silence is just golden. And so they get to the airport and they leave. Back at home, Kyle goes jogging, Erica's out boxing, and Sutton is having a drink. I was like, well, that's kind of interesting editing there. They show like two healthy things and then...
That was crazy. Sutton pulls out a 12-ounce glass and then
fills it up,
empties that bottle of vodka into that, to the
and
very,
her little splash,
very
splash.
top. Then she grabbed her ocean spray, I noticed. And I was thinking, mathematically, that ocean spray must last 20, 30 bottles of vodka. Just a little bit. It's all she does.
It was just a little splash.
Just a little splash. She barely twisted her wrist, I was like, oh my God. And she's like, delicious.
Yeah,
like,
she was talking to her dogs too, although I talk to my dogs all the time.
Are you kidding?
Erica and Garcelle meet for lunch. Garcelle tells her how she is tired from Vegas because she had a roommate. Erica brings up how Dorit and Kyle had to share a bed, and apparently Dorit talks in her sleep. Shocker. Garcelle tells Erica that she likes Dorit, but when they talk, they don't seem to understand each other. And for somebody who talks a lot, Dorit does not listen. And Erica's like, well, you'll get there, because if we can go to lunch together after everything we went through, then you can certainly make up with her. Erica tells her that she has learned to speak Dorit. So she zones out most of the time and then comes back. Garcelle then says she has a bone to pick with Vegas, that she thought Erica was going to go after Sutton, but then didn't, and then ended up doing it later on. And Erica's like, well, it didn't make sense. She had a stack of singles, and then when they were on stage, something switched, and then she had to make it about her, probably because she wasn't getting the attention from being on the stage. So she was like, I'm
Did you
going
notice
to
that
get attention
Kyle
another way.
was lifted and carried onto the bowl?
Yes.
And Sutton was walked like an old lady.
She acts like an old lady.
That's why. She dresses like an old lady. She acts like an old lady.
Over at Sutton's, Kyle just walks into her house and she's like, did you just walk into my house? She's like, I did. So they go to the kitchen and they're going through all the different teas that Sutton has because Kyle wants to have some tea. So Kyle has tea and Sutton's like, I'm having a cocktail because I had a very long day. And it seems like she doesn't go very long without a cocktail.
It was like noon. I've had a long day.
Kyle asks her how she's feeling after Vegas. Sutton's like, well, it wasn't my favorite departure because Erica intentionally tried to embarrass me and then reenacts what happened in the elevator. Kyle tries to chime in and Sutton tells her, I'm not done. Kyle says, okay, let me know when you are. And Sutton tells her, don't talk to me like that. In Sutton's talking head, she says that she realized that when she got back from Vegas, that Kyle is not her true friend and never has her back. Kyle then asks if she's okay. Sutton says, defend your friend. Sutton tells her that sometimes you come in to a conversation when you haven't heard the whole story. Kyle says, fuck you. I saw my friend in distress because of the way you were acting and that you have a habit of losing your shit in ridiculous circumstances. Sutton says, name them. Kyle tells her what you did in Vegas was ridiculous. And Sutton keeps saying, name them, like over and over and over. Kyle's like, are you okay? I don't think you're okay. Stop doing that. You're being rude. Sutton then says, I don't understand the word rude.
I don't understand the word rude. You want me to get a dictionary? I'm asking you to name.
Then be quiet and I will, please. When you didn't have a gift at Lisa Rinna's house, and then you had to say your ugly leather pants, you lost your there.
You're upset because you're jealous?
Jealous of what? Your ugly leather pants?
No.
You lost your in Lake Tahoe.
I was going to leave this morning. Seriously. This helps me.
You lost your at the show. Are you upset that they didn't ask you to go up there when
No.
you were
Are you
Nothing.
kidding me?
I don't
It has
understand.
nothing to do with that.
Well, maybe a little something.
No,
There's
this had
it's not about the
nothing to
pants.
do with the pants. Had nothing to do with
Okay,
the
then
pants.
you should not be offended because you didn't go up there. You did not seem okay in Vegas, and you don't seem okay now, frankly.
I have to say, watching all of those clips together, like I always thought like Sutton was quirky and weird, but then after seeing like all the clips put together, I was like, oh yeah, she does like freak out a lot. But really all the housewives do, right? At some point in time.
Sutton's knuckin' futz. She really is.
I think she's alcohol driven.
Sure. I mean, there's definitely a substance issue. We saw the huge tumblers of alcohol that she was coloring with ocean spray.
Yeah. But it's funny, on my Instagram, somebody said, well, imagine if we put together all the times Kyle freaked out. And I was like...
We already knew Kyle's nuts.
Yeah, and I was like, they're right. If we sat and thought, and like put it all together, how many times Kyle has a freak
The Kyle montage would be in and of itself an entire episode long.
But Kyle's also been on the show a lot longer. So hers was over a span of 13 years, so...
Yeah. But like we were saying off air, where LD Millionaire has the googly eyes, Sutton's got some crazy eyes. I was noticing it in this episode where she's staring at people wide-eyed and just no one's home. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like,
the lights are on, nobody's home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so
off.
we get a to be continued, and I don't think they played any coming up next or coming next episode scenes. It just said to be continued.
Yeah,
and then
to
it
be
ended.
Continued. Then I watched it on Peacock.
Yeah, but I watched it live last night, and I don't think there was anything on there. So, anyways, that is all we have, guys. We will not be here next week, like I said. So we will talk to you guys the week after that. I hope you guys all have a really great Thanksgiving. Bye.
Take care, everyone.